Hello and welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Sheen. I am an Oxford and Cambridge graduate and an ex-strategy consultant. Have you ever wondered what skills do consultants need? What would help your applications when you're trying to get into consulting? Well, let me tell you something. Not only have I spent quite some time working as a consultant, but I have also spent over 2 years trying to get into consulting. So let's just say that I have a bit of experience in trying to refine and get the best skills that will make me look good in my applications and while working as a consultant. So in this video, I want to share with you the top 5 skills that you need in order to perform really well as a consultant if you're interested in getting into consulting. Number 1 is analytical skills. And by that, I mean both quantitative and qualitative skills. Quantitative is very important because as a consultant, you will get a lot of data to analyze and interpret and be able to pick out any trends and what is the main takeaway message from that. And you will also be given a lot of reports. You will be doing a lot of Google searches and just generally digging at the internet in order to find relevant data. And you need to be able to assess and be able to take out important conclusions from the data. And in terms of qualitative sides, you might also carry out surveys, interviews, you might work with the clients and talk to the different employees to understand the situation. So you need to be able, again, to apply the same assessment of the data, but now it's not numbers, it's not quantitative, it's qualitative data. So you need to be able to assess that and then take that into account when presenting your suggestions, your recommendations, your strategies, or just in order to simplify what the data means to your client. The second one is business acumen or business knowledge, whatever you want to call it. But obviously when you're working as a consultant, you're working with different businesses, different companies of different sizes and from different countries, different industries. So you need to be able to have some basic understanding to start with and then learn about it. Of course, most consultants are not experts and they are not niche consultants. So we're all generalists, if this is what you want to call it, but you need to be able to have some basic understanding of the business in order to be able to take in the data and then learn more while you're working on it. For example, in my experience, I worked in so many different industries. I worked in wildlife, I worked in healthcare, in telecommunication, and they're all very, very different fields and not necessarily what I learned at university, but still having the basic commercial understanding of these different industries does help you and gives you an edge in terms of starting the project and understanding everything that's presented to you. And of course, there are many ways to do this. Keep reading newspapers, keep up to date with what's happening around the world and read. Have an interest in the business world and just reading really helps you because you will constantly see different things being discussed in the news and by that you will absorb a lot of information. The third one is being comfortable with the business toolkit that consultants use. And by that, I'm sure you've all heard that consultants' bread and butter is PowerPoint, Excel, Word. You need to be comfortable with using these. And by comfortable, I don't mean just knowing the basics of how to use it, but being a bit more intermediate level than basic. Because for example, with PowerPoint, what we as consultants are trained to do from day one, and if it helps, if you're already good at it, is to learn shortcuts, keyboard shortcuts. And you might be skeptical, I was, because you think how much time are you really saving by not clicking and doing the shortcuts, but it saves you so much time when you're constantly having to do the same things. And with PowerPoint, there's so much to explore, so much to do. Even with Excel, you can do financial modeling, which you will do as a consultant, and understanding the shortcuts and even just the different ways of making the best use of these platforms is incredibly useful as a consultant. I was lucky enough that as a PhD student, I had learned how to use Excel in depth. And I was also doing presentations very regularly, so I knew how to use PowerPoint. But if you haven't had much exposure to these platforms as a student, there are many places online where you can learn how to improve your skills. And one such platform is Financial Edge, who are very kindly sponsoring this video. Financial Edge is a training provider which offers world-class learning online for different roles and careers, starting from investment banking to consulting to business in general. Students can choose to do training online at their own pace, and they get given lifetime access to the courses that they pay for. You also have the option of completing micro-degree certifications, which means that now you have extra things to add to your CV as skills that are relevant to the job that you're doing. And it also gives you access to the world-class alumni group on LinkedIn for financial edge. So for instance, we have the Business Toolkit course, and it's incredible and so useful if you're thinking of consulting, because it has a course on Microsoft Excel, on Python for financial modeling, PowerPoint, Outlook, and even communicating and presenting and business writing. So this is a full package teaching you all of the skills that are needed in this section for you to excel as a consultant. So if you're currently looking to apply for consulting jobs or in investment banking, Financial Edge is currently running a 40% off sale in January, which will end on the 31st. So do check it out if this is something that you want to try. But in case you're watching this after the end of January, don't panic. I also have a discount code, which is Sheen25, and you can add this to your cart and you will get 25% off all full-priced courses. Do check out the link in the description box below. The next one is communication. As you can imagine, as a consultant, you need to communicate with so many different groups of people. You have your team, you have your manager, you have the partners, you have the clients, and you have all sorts of external suppliers and vendors that you work with. So it's all different levels of communication that you need to excel at. And not only that, you also have to communicate in writing, via email, messages, reports, PowerPoint slides, but you also have to communicate by phone, on Zoom calls, in person. You need to fly out to meet the client. So communication is really important here. And that comes together with also your interpersonal skills, your social skills, and just a reminder that clarity is key here. Be very clear on what you're trying to communicate to the other person, and then formulate what you're trying to say so that you don't sound like you're rambling too much and the other person is very clear on what you're trying to say to them or what you're trying to ask them. And of course, as a consultant, you also need to be able to influence decision making and influence, what the client is thinking and what your team is thinking. So therefore, you need to be able to convince people when you think something is right, or convince people why they should listen to whatever you're recommending. So again, communication here is a very strong skill to have. And I guess the final one is, I can put it under the umbrella term of being flexible. And there are many different ways that I mean that you need to be flexible. And the first one is to be flexible with just plans changing all the time. This can be that the priorities of the project change, the team changes, the client's wants and needs change, and you need to be able to adapt very quickly and move on with the work, okay? And also you need to be flexible in terms of the working hours. It can be, very long sometimes, it can be normal sometimes, it can be short sometimes, but you need to be able to adapt to the fast pace and the ever-changing conditions of work. And the other way of being flexible is every project you will change managers, you will change your team, you will change the client. So you need to once again adapt to new working patterns, new working ways, because everyone works differently. And even the nature of the project changes, the nature of the work changes. So you need to be flexible and be able to adapt quite quickly to the new state you're in. And again, all of this will be made much easier with clear communication, with your social skills, and knowing what you're doing. All of this will help you and support you while things are changing constantly. And of course, what I mean by being flexible again is being a bit resilient, because a lot of things will not go according to plan. And sometimes you will do a big piece of work and it's not good and you need to restart. And just being able to think on your feet and taking constructive feedback very well, and when you're being asked questions and you don't know what the answer is, knowing how to bounce back from all of this is all very important, but it's just how you deal with it and being resilient in the face of adversity and new stuff. So here we have it, in my opinion, the 5 skills that you need to start your career as a consultant. And in no way is this complete. There are so many other things that might help you in your career as a consultant, but to start off with, I think these are pretty umbrella skills that will make sure that all aspects of your life as a consultant is covered. But in general, consulting is a very challenging and very, I would say, a bit tough job, but it's also very rewarding and very interesting. And it can make you learn so many things so quickly. You're exposed to so much so fast. But yeah, so this was my tips. If you have any questions about skills, about consulting, let me know. And if there are any specific videos you would want to see about life as a consultant, about how to get into consulting, or how to excel as a consultant, let me know, because I want to create a bit more content around this. But until then, thank you for being here, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.